Did I maybe have a mild mental breakdown at 3:37 in the morning and then suddenly decide to give myself bangs? I pretty much instantly regretted the decision, and quite frankly, I haven't been that bothered to try and style them properly, so they're kind of going in every which direction. But I made my bed, now I have to lie in it. It's like 4:50 in the afternoon and I'm quickly losing daylight. So without any further ado, let's get it. I have like a bunch of empties to go through. They're mostly skincare with like a little bit of makeup. I guess maybe I'll just like switch it up and do the makeup ones first. So first off, I finished two little mini sizes of mascaras. They're both completely dried out and they've been open for like more than 4 or 5 months now. The first is a mini size of the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. The second is a mini size of the Lancome Definicils Mascara. Both of these I got as 100 point perks at Sephora. Now this Too Faced mascara, it's like iconic. I remember using a mini size of it like a couple years ago and really liking it, but I don't know if they changed the formula, if I got a bad tube, if my own body chemistry and eyelashes have changed, but this flaked on me like pretty significantly, to the point where I stopped wearing this mascara whenever I wore my contact lenses. I pretty much only ever wore this when I wore glasses. From what I understand, the L'Oreal Lash Paradise is an exact dupe, so I don't know why anyone would still spend this amount of money on mascara. All I know is I'll never be buying this. It's way too expensive, it flakes, and more than that, I think this is a volumizing mascara, not necessarily a lengthening one, and I personally prefer lengthening mascaras. Because as you can see, I love a solid eyeliner look, and when I'm wearing eyeliner, what I want my mascara to do is lengthen my eyelashes enough that they actually show up beyond my eyeliner. And volumizing mascaras like this one aren't the best to do that. Lengthening mascaras like this Lancome Definicils are. This mascara was great. I loved using it. I'm sad to see it go. However, I don't think I would ever actually pay the amount of money that a Lancome mascara costs. First of all, because paying like $30 to $40 for a mascara that I'm gonna have to like replace in 6 months, I don't have that kind of money. And even if I did, I don't think the results that this gives me are significantly better than the results I get with the L'Oreal Telescopic Carbon Black. That is one of my all-time favorite lengthening mascaras, and it's less than half the cost of this one, so will not repurchase. I haven't needed to buy a mascara yet because I still have a mini size of the Hourglass Caution mascara that I'm working through right now. It's the one that I'm currently wearing. And I actually have a sealed L'Oreal Telescopic Carbon Black mascara. So still good on that front, no repurchases necessary, but I finished 2 more mascaras and I'm down to my last 2 tubes. The other makeup item that I finished was my liquid eyeliner. This is the NYX Professional Makeup Epic Ink Liner. So I'd finished a liquid eyeliner during my no-buy year, and as a replacement I went out and I bought the Too Faced Better Than Sex liner. That was not a good fit for me. It had a glossy finish as opposed to a matte one. It didn't last a full 8 hours, like it faded really terribly into the slate gray color. So I ended up returning that eyeliner to Sephora and instead buying this NYX Epic Ink Liner. That was sometime in like July or August of last year, and this didn't run out until February, so it lasted me a good while. It's a brush tip eyeliner, not a felt tip one. It's pretty thick, so it was fine for when I wanted to do really dramatic looks like the one I'm doing today, but it wasn't great for days where I just wanted a very thin line running just along my lash line. On top of that, this has a slightly glossy finish, and I prefer a very matte, kind of 60s retro, almost pressed down with eyeshadow type of a look. And so when it ran out, I made the decision not to repurchase this. I instead went back to one of my old favorite eyeliners, also from NYX. This is the matte liquid liner. So this is also a brush tip liner as opposed to a felt tip one. You can see, actually you probably can't see because my cameras can't focus, but perhaps you can see that it is a lot thinner and finer than the tip for the NYX Epic Ink Liner. And it is truly, genuinely like a matte black. It's what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I will say the one downside of this eyeliner is that because this brush tip is so fine, and because it's a brush, so it's kind of like floppy and not quite as stiff as a felt tip. It does take a little bit of extra work to do a cat eye or a wing, but since most of the time I'm not doing really intense eyeliner like this, since most of the time I am just looking for a very thin, beautiful line along my lash line, this is perfect. The last set of makeup empties that I have, oh god, these bangs are gonna kill me, are brow gels. So this incredibly faded tube is the brow gel I actually started off my No Buy Year with, and it's the Essence Make Me Brow in, I think it's like 01 or 02 Brownie Brows. It's basically the darkest color that this comes in. It's a pretty good dupe for the Benefit Give Me Brow. It has little fibers in it. I am not the kind of person who spends a lot of money on brow products because I have a very like chill, low maintenance relationship with my brows. I'm not ever trying to like transform my brow look. I like the shape that my natural eyebrows have. It's just that the individual strands of hair in my brows and on my head are very, very thin and fine. So although I have a lot of hair in my eyebrows, because the individual strands are really thin and fine, my brows end up not quite having the density that I want them to have, and they end up looking lighter and more gray toned than my hair. I'm not trying to create any shape when I fill in my brows. I'm literally just trying to add density and darkness. So because I don't have really specialized needs, I've never seen the point of spending a lot of money on brow products. This Essence Make Me Brow served me really well. The only sort of gripe that I have with it is that there aren't any darker colors than this one. This sort of like weird gray brown color that the tube is, that's the color of the gel in here, and it's the darkest one they've got. Now this actually ran out like midway through my No Buy Year, like last autumn. And luckily around the same time that this ran out, Sephora had as a 100-point perk the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. So instead of spending any money on buying a new brow gel, and because I've heard this product hyped up so much, I was like, yeah, sure, let me use up 100 points and pick this up as a perk. Lads, I did not enjoy the process of using this brow gel. It made my brows so crunchy, and I was just like not about that life. Like, this is great hold, I will not deny. My brows, like however I shaped them when I put this gel in, it stayed that way the entire day. But I could not get over the crunch. So I'm very glad that it's over. I'm very glad I don't have to subject myself to using this anymore, because every time I would even like vaguely touch my brows, I'd just be like, whoa, that is not a hair feeling. It's been such a long time since I filmed an empties video. I think this ran out towards the end of October. This ran out towards the end of January. And I really wanted a brow gel, and I didn't want to think about having to find a new brow gel, so I just went to the store to go pick up a replacement for this Essence Make Me Brow, only to find that it was like all sold out. So when I saw a display at the pharmacy containing this NYX Bear With Me brow setter, I just bought it. There's apparently hemp seed oil in this to like nourish the brows, and it looks kind of like white or maybe a very, very light pink, but once it dries completely clear. There are no fibers or anything. It's just like a waxy, clear brow gel, but it doesn't give me a crunchy brow. Now, this brow gel is also drying out. I feel like I only have like a couple more weeks with it at most. I don't really know. It's like a concern to think about once we all get out of lockdown. And thankfully, my brand new bangs mean that even if I do run out of brow gel before lockdown is over, my bangs are gonna cover up anything amiss with my brows. So these are the two replacement products that I've had to buy. For the rest of everything that I'm talking about, like all the skincare stuff, I've not needed to buy any replacements. I'm just slowly trying to run down my giant skincare stockpile. So let's move on to the skincare. So I think maybe I'm gonna go in the order of skincare steps. So first off, we have the Innisfree Apple Seed Cleansing Oil. I think I talked about buying this in my last empties video, which was literally last year, so it's been a hot minute. And everything that I said in that video pretty much still stands. It's a great cleansing oil. It melts off all of my makeup, but it has a very, very distinct apple Jolly Rancher smell. So if scent is a thing that bothers you, I would not recommend it. My absolute favorite cleansing oil is by The Face Shop. It's their Rice Water Bright cleansing oil, and this hasn't managed to knock that one off the chart, so I don't think I'll ever be repurchasing this again. I pretty much just bought it because my last one ran out and I needed a cleansing oil, and so I just went to the nearest store that I knew had a cleansing oil. This was the cheapest one and I bought it. Now, I talked about in, I think it was the introduction video for Project 2020, how I actually had in my house 3 brand new, completely sealed cleansing oils that I had just misplaced because I'd stockpiled them somewhere in like the back of some cupboard. And I came across them as I was moving last year. So even though this is over, I obviously don't need to go out and buy another one. I've broken into one of the sealed ones. It's the Face Shop Rice Water Cleansing Oil in Rich. After that one's over, I still have 2 more sealed ones to go. So I think 2020 is gonna end before I run out of cleansing oil. Next up, let's talk about these 2 emptied out bottles of toner from the Body Shop. So first off, here's the Body Shop Vitamin E Hydrating Toner. I really did not like this. It has a very, very strong scent. If you've smelled any of the Body Shop's vitamin E products, it smells exactly like that. Not only did the smell kind of get on my nerves, but it wasn't even all that hydrating. I have other toners that I much prefer to this one. So for example, I have one from Tony Moly, which like this one is scented, but it hasn't broken me out and it does a really good job of hydrating my skin, so I tolerate it. I also have toners like the one from Hada Labo, which do a great job of hydrating my skin and are completely unscented. So every time I had to go use a toner, I just never wanted to reach for either of these 2. So the way that I managed to actually finish using this Body Shop Vitamin E Hydrating Toner is I used it instead as a setting spray. I had an empty travel size bottle of the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray, and I had kept that empty bottle because I really like how fine the mist is on that. So I basically slowly just kept transferring this over to that bottle and using it as the final step of my makeup process to make sure that there was no lingering cakiness or powderiness. It did a decent enough job at that. There's actually still a little bit of this left in my Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray travel bottle, but I know it's gonna finish really soon because I use it pretty much every single time I put on makeup. The other Body Shop toner, the British Rose Petal Soft Gel Toner, it was really interesting. Whereas this one was like watery, this was really viscous. They call this a gel toner, and that's exactly what it had. It had the consistency of like hair gel. It also had a very strong rose scent that I was like not about. But because this was really like thick and viscous, I couldn't really use this up by converting it to a mist. So instead what I did is I started to use it almost like a sheet mask. I have some of that like peelable 5-layer cotton from Muji, and so what I would do is I would basically douse one of those cotton pads in this gel toner, let it sit there for a while, and then peel it apart and place the bits on my skin as like DIY sheet mask. It's like a really common skincare technique in Korea. I'm gonna see if I can maybe like link a video up in the cards of somebody actually demoing how to do that, but that's basically how I use this up. It was fine as a way to like force myself to use this up, but I'm trying to move my entire skincare regime over to things that are completely unfragranced, like no essential oils, nothing. After I finish using up all of the scented products that I have that don't break me out, I'm going to only buy unscented versions to replace them. But even if that weren't the case, like I said, I have other toners that do a much better job than either of these. Since we're talking about the Body Shop, I might as well bring up the next empty, which is the Body Shop Vitamin E Moisture Cream for all skin types. This was a totally fine and adequate moisturizer. It didn't break me out or anything, but then again, it has that really strong perfumey scent that all of the Body Shop Vitamin E products have, and that's going to prevent me from ever buying this again. But I don't think it outperforms moisturizers that are in the same price range as this, or even some ones that are like cheaper than it. I think this is good. The inclusion of vitamin E, which is an antioxidant, that's good for your skin. This is just genuinely not a bad moisturizer. It doesn't suit my needs. It's just fragranced, and I think it's kind of overpriced for what it is. The other moisturizer that I have here, she's bad, chief. I have what I would call like combination skin, like my T-zone still gets like pretty oily, and this wasn't even hydrating or moisturizing enough for my oily T-zone, much less for my cheeks. There's like a little bit left in the bottom here, but it's like this translucent gel texture. When you first rub it on, you're like, oh wow, this feels so good. It feels so cooling. It's like a burst of water against your skin. You're like having such a good time. But that burst of water is like a scam, because within minutes, it's like all evaporated off of your skin. And within the hour, your skin is just feeling like tight and dry, and like you never put moisturizer on it in the first place. Transepidermal water loss, she happened, and this did nothing to stop it. Moreover, this has such a strong, fake, flowery scent. I'm not about it. smells almost like Febreze. Yeah, like literally I feel like I just like sprayed Febreze in here. And the scent like lingered weirdly. I was constantly catching like whiffs of it, even like 20-30 minutes after I put the moisturizer on. In some like nightmarish twist of irony, the hydration that this was supposed to provide didn't last at all, but the cloying scent definitely did. About halfway through this tub, the scent actually started giving me a headache, so I finished the rest of it on my feet. I cannot remember what possessed me to buy this, but whatever it was a terrible decision, Prachi of the past. Big regret. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. The last moisturizer in here is the mini size of the Drunk Elephant Lala Retro Whipped Cream. The thing I remember thinking about this is everyone always talks about how this is like a really heavily moisturizing cream, but I actually didn't have that experience with this. It weirdly enough kind of did a similar thing to me that this Garnier SkinActive did, which is that when I first put it on my skin, I was like, oh, this feels so nourishing and moisturizing, there are all these like oils in it and whatever, but within like 20 to 30 minutes, I felt like the cream had almost like weirdly tightened and dried out my skin. My skin no longer felt nourished or even like soft. I've also used a sample size of their like proteiny polypeptide cream, and I much preferred the texture and feel of the proteiny polypeptide cream to this one. I would literally never buy this because this is so exorbitantly priced, but even if I had money to throw at it, I still wouldn't buy it because it's not that effective for me. Like if I'm going to be blowing money on one Drunk Elephant moisturizer, it's not going to be this one. I would much rather it be the other one. Will I ever actually do that though? No. Okay, so now let's talk about these two bottles from The Ordinary. This first one is the Alpha Arbutin 2% plus hyaluronic acid. So everything that I had read up on Alpha Arbutin suggests that it's supposed to be really good for evening out your skin tone, getting rid of hyperpigmentation, brightening up your skin, giving it like a little bit of glow and radiance. Kind of basically does what vitamin C is supposed to do for your skin, but alpha arbutin is supposed to be much less irritating for your skin than L-ascorbic acid might be, because there are quite a few people whose skin just really can't tolerate L-ascorbic acid, like it causes them to break out. My skin really likes vitamin C. It reacts really well to it. I get really good effects from vitamin C. I'm kind of like an acne prone person, and I am very lucky that even though I am very acne prone and that in fact I tend to have a lot of cystic acne, the way that my skin is, it tends not to scar texturally, but instead with pigment. So instead of having a lot of like white bumpy scars or ice pick scars, I tend to just get really dark red, almost brownish spots of hyperpigmentation after a pimple. And consistent use of vitamin C, especially L-ascorbic acid, has been so crucial to helping making those spots fade away really quickly. And when I say quickly, I mean like within 4 to 6 months instead of like 8 to 12 months, which is usually how long it takes for post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation to fade for me while diligently wearing sunscreen if I'm not using vitamin C. So fading dark spots, fading hyperpigmentation, making sure my skin is even, like all one tone across the board, those are pretty big priorities for me. And I had heard really good things about Alpha Arbutin for a really long time, so when I realized that The Ordinary had this product, I remember going out and immediately buying it. I used up pretty much the entire bottle, and I felt like it really didn't do anything for me. Which is to say that it probably did do some good stuff for my skin. It probably did fade my hyperpigmentation and stuff faster than if I had used nothing at all, but it didn't do a better job for me than L-ascorbic acid. I don't like using a whole bunch of skincare products just for the hell of it. If I have an 8 to 10 step skincare routine, it had better be because all 8 to 10 of those steps are doing something for me. And alpha arbutin, for me and my skin, is just like an inferior vitamin C. I don't see the point of using both this and vitamin C. I think vitamin C gives me good enough results on its own. I really didn't see that much of a difference with this. I think maybe if you have issues using vitamin C and you do still want like radiance and brightness and some help fading hyperpigmentation, then maybe you should try this out. But for me and the kind of skincare routine I've been building, this is just, it's not effective enough for me. So the next serum with actives that I have here from The Ordinary is the Retinol 0.2% in Squalane. This is, I believe, the lowest concentration of retinol that The Ordinary carries. And the thing to know about me is my body loves vitamin A, which is what retinol basically is derived from. The thing about retinol and the prescription version of retinol that's also topical, it's called tretinoin or Retin-A. It is one of like the few tried and tested things that every single dermatologist will agree is just like good for your skin. Not only is it good for people who are acne prone, it actually also has anti-aging benefits, because if you use the prescription form of vitamin A, tretinoin or Retin-A, continued use of that over a period of something like 6 months, it has been actually found to boost your skin's own collagen production and combat potentially precancerous skin cells, like skin cells that might lead to something like a melanoma or some other form of a skin cancer. Now that is the prescription-only ointment Retin-A. Retinol is a much weaker form of Retin-A, but it's the only one that's really available over the counter to everyone. So if you can't get your hands on Retin-A, retinol is the thing you want to be using. The 0.2% retinol in squalane is The Ordinary's lowest concentration, and I think if you have never used any sort of retinol product in your entire life, this is a great place to start. When you start using products that contain vitamin A, there's a process that happens to your skin called retinization, where your skin basically becomes kind of dry and flaky. It can also kind of become red and irritated. And this retinization process, it takes somewhere from like 6 to 8 weeks. And you just kind of have to get through that phase and come out the other side to begin seeing results. Now, if you put retinol, which is already a very weak form of vitamin A, in something like squalane, which is oil, like a moisturizing oil, the oil is going to serve as a buffer between the active ingredient and your skin, and it's going to minimize the irritation that you might feel during the retinization process. So I think this is a great place for people to start if they've never used any sort of vitamin A product, but for me, this is like weak sauce. So because for me personally this was so weak, I ended up not using this on my face. Instead, I used Differin Gel, which is available to buy in the US at Target. It contains, I believe, adapalene, which is another form of vitamin A that is specifically very, very good at fighting acne. And after that tube of Differin runs out, I actually now have a tube of Retin-A, the much stronger prescription-only version of this. So those much stronger and much more effective treatments and ointments are what I'm currently using on my face. This I instead ended up using on my hands. For that purpose, for just kind of using it up, it was fine. I wouldn't repurchase this again because I'm onto stronger versions of vitamin A than just retinol. All right, last two things real quick. So this first one is, I don't even know if you can like find this anywhere that isn't Toronto, because I bought this at like Veg Fest like 2 years ago from somebody who had like a stall there. So this is like a local business. It was called Callus, Yativia, Mango, and Shea. I bought it because the scent of mango that this had was the most accurate mango scent I have ever smelled in like a cream or a lotion or anything like that. I used up this entire bottle of what is basically just mango scented shea butter, and I loved every moment of it. It was so great. I don't even know if this business is still up and running. I have way too many body lotions and body oils to even be able to buy something from them to support them, but I genuinely really enjoyed this. The scent of mango that this had, it was so good. And I found out that my skin actually really likes shea butter. It was a great moisturizer for my hands and my arms. The last thing that I have here is a sleeping pack from the brand Aritalm, and it's their souk or mugwort version of their sleeping pack. My friend who went to East Asia last year had gotten this, and actually like a whole bunch of things, because Aritalm has a bunch of little tubes like this, each of which highlight a different set of ingredients. And because my skin tends to be kind of like inflamed and irritated, and mugwort tends to be really soothing and calming, and I was telling my friend all about it, she ended up giving this one that she had to me. It had like a mild sort of like herbally scent. I don't know if it was artificial or if it was just the result of the mugwort herb that was like in here. I actually don't even know if this is a sleeping pack. It's all in Korean, hold on. This says it is the Fresh Essence Power Pouch Pack. So I'm guessing it's supposed to be some sort of like essence mask or overnight mask or something like that. Either way, I used it both under and over my moisturizer and it was fine. It was really like soothing and cooling and refreshing, but it didn't like change my life. I don't feel like my skin looked dramatically better or was a lot more moisturized or whatever. And I'm trying to move away from using things that are kind of like single-use packaging, things like sheet masks or things like this where it's like it has like 4 or 5 uses and then you gotta chuck it out. So I don't really think it's worth like incorporating long-term into my skincare routine. And that's everything, folks. These are all of my empties for the past couple of months. I can finally put them in the trash and recycle. My bangs are driving me crazy because I've just been sitting here and they've been slowly, in the heat and humidity, been curling up and getting all in my way. So before I finally like lose my mind, run out of battery, and lose any and all semblance of daylight, let me bid you guys farewell. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you have a great upcoming week. And even if the rest of your week ends up becoming messy or imperfect, I hope that you're still able to create and experience some truly beautiful moments. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye.